This just came out, and you are not going to want to miss this. There is a new budget showdown happening right now in Washington. People are reaching out about this, and it is raising fresh and very serious concerns about the stability of Social Security for millions of retirees, seniors, and people on fixed incomes all across America. We are talking about multiple things happening at the same time right now. A federal budget battle, a Social Security trust fund warning, big new cuts to programs millions of seniors rely on, and a clock that is ticking closer to a deadline that Congress is still not close to solving. People are reaching out and asking, what does all of this mean for my check? What does it mean for my Medicare? What does it mean for my SNAP benefits? What does it mean for the Social Security I have been counting on and paying into my entire life? And today I am going to give you real answers, clear answers, honest answers, no panic. But I am also not going to sugarcoat what the numbers actually say because you deserve to know the truth. Stick with me. I am going to explain all of this in plain language. I will give you the full picture, and then I will tell you exactly what to watch for and what steps you can take right now. If this kind of information matters to you, and if you are on Social Security or living on a fixed income, it should, please hit subscribe and tap that notification bell so you never miss a single update. I will keep you updated every single day. All right, let us start with the big picture, because what is happening in Washington right now with the federal budget is directly connected to the long-term stability of your Social Security check. Here is the situation. The federal government is running a projected deficit of $1.8 trillion this year alone. That is $1.8 trillion more going out than coming in. And Social Security, the program that more than 70 million Americans depend on, is contributing $250 billion to that deficit this year. In 2026, Social Security will collect $1.442 trillion in payroll and related taxes, but spend $1.672 trillion on benefits and administration. That cash shortfall of $230 billion plus $20 billion in interest costs adds a total of $250 billion to this year's federal deficit. Now here is the part that is making people reach out. The program's accumulated surplus, the safety cushion that was built up over decades, is now essentially gone. After 1983, Social Security ran a cumulative surplus that peaked in 2009 at roughly 12% of that year's gross domestic product. Subsequent annual shortfalls have steadily eroded that surplus down to approximately zero in 2026. Zero. The cushion is gone. And now the program is running on what comes in from payroll taxes in real time, with no buffer, no reserve, no safety net underneath it. And that sets the stage for the even bigger warning that came out this year from the Congressional Budget Office, because the timeline on this just got shorter, and Congress still has no plan. The clock on Social Security just moved closer to midnight. A new projection from the Congressional Budget Office puts the trust fund's exhaustion date at 2032, 1 year earlier than projected last year and 2 years earlier than projected in 2024. 6 years. That is the window. And if Congress does nothing between now and then, the consequences for every person collecting Social Security would be severe and immediate. If the projection is correct and Congress fails to act, Social Security benefits could decrease 7% for the remainder of 2032, and then an average of 28% per year from 2033 through 2036. That equals an initial cut of about $145 per month, increasing to $580 per month for someone receiving the average retirement benefit of $2,071. $580 per month. Let that number sit with you for a moment. For a senior living on a fixed income, for someone who depends on Social Security as their primary source of income, losing nearly $600 a month is not an inconvenience. It is a crisis. A 28% cut beginning in 2032 would reduce the average retired worker's monthly benefit from about $2,071 to $1,491, a loss of roughly $6,960 per year. An average retired couple receiving $3,208 per month would see that amount fall to about $2,310, losing more than $10,700 annually. Over $10,000 a year. Gone. For an average retired couple if Congress does nothing. I want to be very clear here, and I want you to hear this carefully. Social Security is not going bankrupt. The program will still collect payroll taxes and still pay benefits. But if the trust fund runs out and Congress has not acted, the law only allows the program to pay out what it takes in. A depleted trust fund does not mean Social Security disappears. It means the program can only pay out what it collects in payroll taxes in real time. Based on current projections, that would cover roughly 70 to 77% of scheduled benefits. So the checks keep coming, but they would be smaller, significantly smaller, unless Congress acts before 2032. I will keep you updated on this. Every development, every vote, every proposal that gets put forward, I will be right here, and I will make sure you know what is happening the moment it changes. But right now, there is a second part of this budget showdown that I need to tell you about. Because the fight happening in Congress right now over the federal budget is directly threatening programs that many seniors depend on alongside Social Security. We are talking about the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. This is the major budget reconciliation legislation that has already passed both the House and the Senate this year and was signed into law on July 4th. And it contains changes that are already affecting or will soon affect a significant number of seniors and lower-income older Americans. Let me explain this clearly. The legislation makes deep cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as SNAP. The Medicaid cuts are the largest in the program's history, and the cuts are estimated to cause 10 million more people to become uninsured by 2034. Now, many seniors watching this may be thinking, I am on Medicare, not Medicaid, so does this affect me? And the answer is, it may. More than you realize. Let me explain why. About 12 million people in the United States are what is called dually eligible, meaning they receive both Medicare and Medicaid at the same time. Roughly 65% of them are age 65 or older. Medicaid helps pay their Medicare premiums, deductibles, and co-pays. For someone on a fixed income, that support can mean the difference between affording their medication or skipping it. 12 million people. Seniors who depend on both programs working together to cover the gaps. And changes to Medicaid create real risk for many of those people. The budget cuts could create new administrative obstacles, more frequent renewal requirements, and eligibility rechecks that increase the risk of an administrative error interrupting premium help, even for people who remain fully eligible. If that assistance disappears for even a few months, a senior may be unable to afford their Medicare coverage. And then there is the SNAP program, the food assistance program that millions of lower-income seniors rely on to keep food on the table. The legislation cuts $187 billion in federal funding from SNAP, roughly 20%, making it the largest cut to the program in history. Based on projections from the Congressional Budget Office, about 4 million people will see their food assistance cut substantially or eliminated altogether in an average month. 4 million people losing meaningful food assistance. And that includes a significant number of older Americans who are already stretching their Social Security check to cover groceries that are already costing more every week. The legislation also prohibits the implementation of 2 finalized rules until October 1st, 2034. Those rules would have made it easier for very low-income Medicare enrollees to access Medicare savings programs, which help cover premiums and cost sharing for their Medicare benefits. Rules that were designed to help seniors get the premium assistance they need and deserve are now being delayed by 8 years. 8 years. For people living on fixed incomes in a high inflation environment, 8 years is not an abstract policy timeline. It is 8 years of paying more than necessary out of every check. I want to pause and just say something directly to everyone watching. I know this is a lot to take in. I know it feels heavy. I understand that feeling. But here is what I know with certainty. Information is your most powerful tool right now. When you understand what is happening, you can plan. When you know the facts, you can make better decisions. And you can ask the right questions of the right people. So let me now talk about what is actually being proposed to fix Social Security, because there are proposals out there. And the conversation in Washington has been getting louder. During a March 25th Senate Budget Committee hearing focused on the path forward for Social Security, several lawmakers said Congress is up to the task, and the 2026 class of senators will be the first federally elected group that must confront the program's looming depletion date within their own 6-year term. That is significant. These senators cannot pass the problem to the next class. The deadline falls within their own term, and that political reality is creating new urgency around finding a solution. To address the shortfall, lawmakers are discussing several options. One is to raise or eliminate the payroll tax cap, which currently sits at $184,500 in wages for 2026. Another is a combination of tax increases and benefit adjustments. A third proposal from Senator Bill Cassidy involves creating a diversified investment fund by borrowing $1.5 trillion and investing it similarly to a 401k, separate from current trust funds. Each of these options has supporters and opponents. Each involves trade-offs. And the honest truth is that the political will to act has been slow to materialize in Washington. Warnings about Social Security's funding shortfall are not new. Analysts have been projecting trust fund depletion for over a decade. What has changed is the timeline. The window for congressional action is shrinking, and the closer the nation gets to the projected depletion date, the more difficult it may become to implement gradual, less disruptive solutions. But here is the part that gives me genuine reason for cautious hope, and I want you to hold on to this. Social Security has been on the brink of a serious funding crisis before. In 1983, when the last major reforms were enacted, the program was just months away from not being able to pay full benefits. At that time, bipartisan legislation was passed that restored stability and extended solvency for decades. That history matters. It reminds us that Social Security's challenges are serious, but not unsolvable. The real risk is not that solutions do not exist. The risk is delay. 1983, they fixed it when it was almost too late. They came together, they made hard choices, and they protected millions of retirees who were depending on those checks. It happened before, and it can happen again. But only if the pressure stays on. Only if the people who depend on Social Security make their voices heard. And only if lawmakers understand that this is not an abstract budget number. This is the monthly income of real people who work their whole lives to earn it. I will keep you updated on every development in this reform debate, every proposal, every vote, every sign that progress is or is not being made. I will be here watching it closely and reporting back to you. Now let me tell you a few things you can do right now to protect yourself in the middle of all this uncertainty. Because while the budget showdown plays out in Washington, your life continues, your bills continue, and there are steps you can take to put yourself in the strongest possible position. The first thing is to check whether you qualify for a Medicare savings program if you are not already enrolled. These programs can help pay Medicare premiums, deductibles, and co-pays for low-income seniors. For someone on a fixed income, that support can mean the difference between affording their medication or skipping it. With the budget law now delaying expanded access to these programs until 2034, the people who are already enrolled are protected. Do not wait to look into this. Check your eligibility now through your state Medicaid office or by calling Medicare at 1-800-MEDICARE. The second thing, if you receive SNAP benefits or if you think you may qualify, please contact your local Department of Social Services to understand how the new budget law may affect your specific situation. The cuts do not all take effect immediately, and knowing your timeline matters. Third, growing Social Security shortfalls are projected to raise the national debt significantly over time. But for people already receiving benefits, the immediate impact is not a cut to your check today. What matters is what Congress does over the next 6 years. Your current check is safe today. The threat is future, and it is 6 years away. But the time to pay attention and to hold your representatives accountable is right now, not in 2031 when it is almost too late to act. Fourth, if you have any retirement savings in an IRA or 401k, make sure you know where that money is and how it is allocated. In a volatile budget environment, having some portion in stable lower-risk assets is worth discussing with a financial advisor or your bank. And fifth, stay informed. That is not a platitude. In a situation like this one, where the numbers are real, the timeline is real, and the decisions being made in Washington are real, what you know matters enormously. Stay informed, stay engaged, make your voice heard with your representatives, and stay right here on this channel. I will keep you updated on every vote, every proposal, every development in this budget showdown that touches your benefits, your check, or your retirement security. That is my commitment to you. If this video helped you today, please share it with someone you know who is on Social Security or who is concerned about these changes. They need this information too. Subscribe if you have not already, hit that notification bell, and know that this channel exists for one reason: to make sure you have clear, honest, up-to-date information on everything that affects your retirement. Thank you for being here today. You worked hard for these benefits. You earned them. And I will fight every day to make sure you understand exactly what is happening to them.